So obviously a lot of people keep talking about the Leafs going after defensemen. I mean, the Chris Tanev story is just, it's old news at this point. I made like quite a few videos about it now. I don't need to keep talking about Chris Tanev specifically, but I mean, just where there's smoke, there's fire. Elliotte Friedman is just so like on this specifically, and he won't give it up, and other guys won't give it up. I mean, when you have so many insiders in the industry, just keep, like, this is the worst kept secret in hockey right now, that the Leafs are all over Chris Tanev. And at the end of the day, it just gives them no leverage. So that's the only issue I have with it. But at the same time, there's other teams that are involved in Tanev. Like Tampa's asking about Tanev. New Jersey's asking about Tanev. Vancouver's probably still asking about Tanev. I'm sure the Dallas Stars are asking about Tanev. Like, you go down the list of so many teams that are probably asking about Chris Tanev. But at the same time, Noah Hanifin's a thing. And big shout out to Zeta. I know a lot of people were talking about this earlier, but this was from Elliotte Friedman's 32 Thoughts article. Is one exception may be Toronto. If the Maple Leafs trade this year's first, they will have one pick in the top 2 rounds of the next 3 drafts, a first rounder in 2026. If not it's not impossible they decide to move it, but they definitely prefer the opposite and aren't interested in moving Easton Cowan, Matthew Dyes, or Fraser Minton. They're most asked about youth. Pause for a second. I'm just going to say this. This is the part where the Leafs get leverage back. The fact that they've been so consistent on saying we're not giving up Fraser Minton. If you include Fraser Minton in this trade, you could probably get a lot more. And jump in Noah Hanifin. So you look at this and go, one case where I do believe they would have done so is if they acquired both Chris Tanev and Nikita Zadorov, as they tried before the latter's move to the Lionsgate Bridge. There's no doubt in my mind the Leafs want Tanev, but Calgary's holding to see if that first rounder comes into play. It's poker. But if Toronto really wanted to do that, it'd be done already. We will see. He would help them, and they know it. Maybe Toronto solves this by trying to trade for both Tanev and Noah Hanifin. They are looking for another center as well. I mean, you have to try if you're the Leafs. You have to try. If you want to save not only like just the season, but like the potential of going on a deep playoff run. The Leafs are like a borderline wild card. And if they could get 2 defensemen, as I've talked about, like Jake McCabe is arguably considered the second best defenseman on the Leafs right now because TJ Brodie just hasn't had a great year. So if there was a scenario where Brodie goes back in this deal, you bring in Tanev and Hanifin. You have a top pair of Riley Tanev. You have a second pair of, for example, Hanifin McCabe. And then you have a third pair of, take your pick. It could be Benoit Timmins for now. Or you could trade like a mid-round pick for Lyubushkin and have a third pair, physical third pair of Benoit Lyubushkin. I'm just putting that out there because it's been a conversation and it's relevant. So that's the conversation, and just overall the fact that so many people talk about it, and this seems to be the package where it's like, okay, you trade Minton, you trade a first-round pick, and you include a younger defenseman like Liljegren. Liljegren's still fairly young, 23, 24. I think he turned 24. So I think the Flames will look at a deal like this, and especially if the Leafs got a sense that they'll extend at least one of Hanifin or Tanev, maybe both. I mean, you've got to do this deal. You just got it. Like, now's the time for the Leafs. Now's the time with the core. I mean, this would make huge strides for the team. So, yeah, I mean, I'm on board with this. So that's why I said this would be the vibe, to be honest. And I actually like my cousin Lucas's response on it. He says, trading the 2024 first concerns me, as eventually you need to stock the cupboard with cheap young players and entry-level deals. Having said that, if it comes with Hanifin and he re-signs, it's well worth it. Completely agree. Completely agree. As I said, if you get extensions, especially from a guy like Hanifin, you have Riley and Hanifin as your 1-2 going forward. I still think there's more to give for Hanifin. I think if Hanifin's in more of an offensive system, he's really improved on his defensive game. I think we could see more of a breakout with Hanifin. And he's still got quite a few years ahead of him, I believe. So, give me your thoughts, guys, but I think this would be the vibe. Keep talking to Calgary, Trey Living. Save your reputation, because Leaf fans are already getting on you. And I think if they don't let go of Keefe, this would be the kind of move you have to do to really get the fan base back on your side. So I'll leave it at that. Give me your thoughts, guys.